Welcome back to the final episode of Season 5 of Show Em The Dore. I'm your host, Christopher Conway. That's my best friend, Willem Azzinnaro. And today we're joined by an extremely special guest, the one, the only, the Connor Campbell.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time in the making.
Coming. Yeah, I've been here almost since the pilot, I believe.
You were here for the pilot episode, which is crazy to think about.
Wow, so long. I am literally the epitome of long time fan, first time caller right now.
Absolutely, yeah.
I am literally the longest time fan.
No, because I remember after our first episode, Connor's been around the curb for a while, and he was like, "Here's how you can edit your videos to like really make them pop." And I had just like figured out what an MP4 file was, and so I'm like, "Listen, man, I can't do this right now, but like I appreciate you." Mm-hmm. And Connor and I have been friends, since that time. We had a class together, and we're really thankful that you're on the podcast now.
I'm very thankful to be on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, we've been trying to get this scheduled for a while.
Since season 3, maybe.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
It's been a long time. But now we're here. Some notable things about Connor is, if you guys remember, in season 4, we talked a lot about how he sucked at wiffle ball. This is the commissioner of that wiffle ball league. So he gave us a platform to suck on a day in, day out basis. And I don't think I can thank you enough for that, truly.
I've never had a similar platform to show my lack of ability.
Yeah.
Like in the midst of other people. Like in intramurals, it's almost like expected that some people are going to suck. Mm-hmm. So like you don't really like think about it much when the other team like just has people that are terrible like Chris and I. But like there's
lumping me in.
There's just some sheer like bad at the game moments.
Yeah, I know, you know what? I think
it's incredible.
I think, and this is the most Adam Silver answer I could possibly give, is that I don't think that it was a lack of ability, but just a lack of preparedness going into the league.
I think.
Whereas the
dude,
league,
we were
real though. The jump from just playing wiffle ball to the wiffle ball league is crazy.
Yeah.
Also, to be clear, we spiked like throughout our games. I feel like we were getting so much better.
No, you showed a lot of promise.
Like I think we could have made a playoff run. Mm-hmm. Call me crazy.
I am gonna call you
call me crazy. I think we were going all the way.
We won one single game, and I didn't even remember it.
I will say
we only played like 2 series.
Both of those series for me was a flu game. I was sick for both of them. Didn't help me at all.
You were mentally sick for all of them.
Yeah, still am.
Growing up with the league. From when it first started, it wasn't wiffle ball players. Like they were guys who had maybe played in middle school, or guys who were like decent at other sports, who were learning how to play this game as we all grew. Like the first season, which still might be one of our most entertaining, was easily the worst batch of like talent. And so we basically threw a season 1 team, like your team. We threw a season 1 team in at season 4.
No, we can't debate this, Chris.
Yeah, I know.
We're terrible at the game.
I know.
I really do believe
Sam Slyman was our number 1 hitter.
He actually had the highest batting average on the team, which is crazy because he shakes.
Dude, I pitched.
Which is
it's not good.
I truly believe that if I had been able to do the end of season 4, start of season 5, and you guys had carried on with it, I think you would have been a competitive team.
Oh, I think
competitive
so as well.
In the state of like you're fighting for a playoff spot.
The crazy
maybe
thing
not winning a playoff series, but you're fighting for a playoff spot.
The thing is Audie. If we actually got Audie on our team, I'm telling you that man would have been like MVP Mike Trout.
He would have won us every single game, but he probably would have lost us a number of games.
Yeah, like the thing is we would have had him DH. Like because he played. Oh, you're right.
He pitched too fast. We were like, okay, there is a speed limit.
He played cricket all his life, and so bro was just. I was like, all right, so you want to hit it to this part of the field because there's nobody there. He just hit home run after home run off like me, and like I'm not a great pitcher by any means, but like it was just so consistent with like the tiny bat. Mm-hmm. We were actually just gonna play the game of can we all get on base and then just get Audie up to drive us home.
Yeah, I moved to a third base coach spot. I love the team. It's over.
I will say there's something about cricket players. The season 3 champions, which was a ball that's carrying. I think that was their name. Had a kid who played cricket. Not the most athletic guy on their squad by any means. The other 3 were baseball players. And he, like, during the championship, batted, like, I think 8 for 11.
Yeah.
Of just 8 singles, because he just kind of knew how to get the bat on the ball, on the ground, so that he could get just consistent singles. There's something about those cricket guys that their swings just perfectly translate to wiffle ball.
Yeah, it was. Because I saw him walking, and he's like, he looks really unathletic. And I was like, hey man, you want to take a couple swings? He's like, yeah man, let me see it. And he holds the bat like a cricket bat, I was like, oh, this is kind of weird. Throw him a ball, sends it,
smokes it, yeah.
Absolutely smokes it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, all right man, you want to take a couple, I'll swing, take a couple swings off you pitching. Right where it needed to be every single time. I couldn't believe it.
I don't know if you've ever had a similar experience of just watching your career crumble with someone else's success. Of me being like, I'm on this team until there's a fourth guy. And there's a fourth guy, but I think he sucks. And first pitch, I'm like, it's over, man.
Yeah, there goes my spot.
I love this, man. This was cool. Now it's over.
No.
Well, it was nice while it lasted, I suppose, you know?
It's like when your high school brings in a transfer and you were like the starter in that position and you see him take one swing and you go, oh, there goes my spot. All right, it's time to look at the portal.
No, it was.
It's over, boys.
It was.
It's over.
It was gonna. We were actually gonna dominate. It was a crazy thing.
Yeah.
But alas, it happens. Today we have a couple of sports to talk about. Just basketball, actually, women's and men's basketball, because baseball season hasn't started yet. Though I'm very excited for that because that's the only real exciting thing right now.
Yeah. Well,
women's basketball, of course.
Women's basketball has been
dominant.
Fantastic.
Chris is excited about women.
Always have been.
Always has been. Always will be.
True.
It's
any comments?
No, but I will say the women's basketball team, as someone who has started to watch them, I mean, I like every other sports fan got really into women's college basketball last year.
Yeah, of course.
How could you not?
Yeah.
I think maybe even earlier that when Paige Beckers came in.
Yeah.
To UConn.
She was a dog.
Is she?
I mean,
what is she up to right now?
She's a senior.
Hurt so much.
She tore her ACL last season, and so she's been recovering from that. I mean, she's playing. I don't know how she's playing, but she's playing.
She's just such a good basketball player. Like, she was changing the game.
Yeah, and also super marketable. Like, very good with the camera. Overtime, loved her. Barstool signed her immediately when NIL opened up. So,
she went to high school with Jalen Suggs.
Yes. They were, but honestly, the women's team. Granted, we're still in the non-conference stage, but as I was saying off the pod, like any woman from 1 to 7 on that team, any of them can get you a bucket.
Yeah.
Any of them can give you 25 a night. Like, it was a back-to-back stretch. I don't remember which 2 games where Ayanna Moore had a 23-piece and then went 2 points on 2 free throws and 0 for 7 from the field. Yep. And who was the star of the game? Aga Makarat.
Yeah.
Who went 5 for 7 from 3, 18 points, shooting at like a 50% clip.
Yeah.
That's just, I think sports teams like that, and I think that's why I cling to the Pels so much, is because you have no idea on any given night who's going to be your star. Right. And I think that's so fun to watch.
That's what makes a good team a lot more likely to win a lot more. If you have even more people that'll step up night in, night out and really do well, because it's one thing to have some guys that, like, you guys produce, you do really well. But it's like, it takes a certain type of player to be able to put up 25 just on a given night. Mm-hmm. And we've got like 7 of them, like you said. That makes a pretty good team.
I think, so the one game that we've lost was against number 5 NC State.
Which was,
in Raleigh. But also, I think the biggest reason for optimism with that game isn't that we only lost by 8 to the number 5 team. It's that in my opinion, who is our most talented scorer, went 0 for 10 in that game. Ayanna Moore went 0 for 10 in that game with 0 points. Mm-hmm. And that's obviously not standard for her and will probably not be recreated in any game this season. And so if she was just shooting a decent clip from the field, like, we win that game.
Yeah. The other thing I want to say about Ayanna that makes her so great as a player is that when she does have those games, it's not like she's not contributing. I mean, the game against, I don't remember what game it was that Makarat went for 18, but Ayanna went 0 for from the field all the way through to the 4th quarter. Mm-hmm. And in that moment had started really, you could tell that she was getting frustrated with herself, and immediately started taking that frustration out on focusing defensively.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's maturity, is realizing it's not your shooting night, or they're setting up on defense really well against you, you're getting doubled. It takes maturity to be like, okay, I am going to use this focus that I'm getting, or I'm just missing shots and focus on something else. And still producing for the team, even if you're not making shots.
She got a huge board, a huge steal, and then 2 key free throws at the end of the game.
Yep.
That's the sign.
That's a
as
good
you
ball
said,
player.
That's a sign of a good athlete.
Yep.
Just like great mentality. I was covering that game for the Hustler, and I talked to Coach Ralph after the game about that, and I asked her specifically about Ayanna and how you keep someone like that motivated. And basically, Shea Ralph's answer was, you don't need to keep her motivated. Like the fact that she is 0 for 7 makes her more motivated to impact the game in other ways.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's all you could
That's
ask
basketball,
for.
man.
It was versus Western Kentucky University.
Yes.
BKU. Ooh, go
That
Big
was
Red.
that was a scary game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we almost lost.
Our women's team have had a lot of games like that where we're very clearly the better team, and we usually have the momentum, and we have our foot on their necks and just can't stomp down, which makes me a little worried for the SEC schedule.
I think that's a thing of like you'll put together.
Do you know that right
Putting
now
games in.
we're the highest net ranked team in the state of Tennessee for women's basketball?
That's interesting.
Yeah, we are above any other team in the state of Tennessee in terms of net ranking.
Over Knoxville, which is crazy because they're a
They're
storied program.
They're consistently a top 20 team.
Pat Summit University.
True.
Candace Parker's alma mater. That's crazy.
Very true. Yeah. They're not that good this year. People are calling for Holly Warlick's head.
Really? Isn't it crazy
Oh.
how a coach can change a program?
I don't even think she's there. I don't even know. I don't follow.
Oh,
Tennessee
coaches,
football.
man.
But Shea Ralph, great coach.
Phenomenal coach.
Wonderful coach.
Great
And-
coach.
Incredible
So lucky.
coach.
And I will tell you, like, one of the best, probably, I love the coaches here. I love all the coaches here. Probably the best, as a reporter, the best coach to talk to.
Really?
Because she's just so excited for any coverage that the team can get.
Yeah.
That she embraces it with open arms. Whereas sometimes it can be frustrating, especially for the revenue sports, to have to talk to the media. Yeah. Shea comes in after every game to the press conference. She sits down and she gives us this nice little speech. Like, here's how I felt about today. First, thanking us for being there. And then being like, this is how I felt about today. Here's some of the things that I saw before you start asking. That way I don't have to waste your time. And then I'm going to talk how great my players are. And then I'm going to let my players talk. Yeah. And then she doesn't say a word while they answer their questions. The players leave. And then she will go, every question you ask, she will go so in-depth into what was going through her mind at every given moment that you get to pull great quotes. And more importantly, you get to pick the mind of, like, one of the best minds in college basketball right now.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're at UConn for as long as she was doing what she did, you got to be pretty good.
Yeah.
You've got to be really good.
It was a slam dunk hire, I can say.
It's one of the best things. Getting Shea Ralph is one of the best things that's happened to Vanderbilt sports since
Jordan Matthews.
Easily,
like
easily Candace Lee's best move
as a GM,
as an athletic director.
And that was
I said as the GM.
Yeah, that was fast.
That was like her first hire, maybe.
Did it? It was.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was just like one of her talking points in hiring. It's like, I have Shea Ralph on the phone, ready for this program when you want it. Because you're right, it did come almost immediately after she was hired.
And she wasn't like the one that they thought would get the job for AD. They thought it'd be somebody else. And then, so it could have been an interesting, nice connection of like, hey, if you hire me, I know someone who's looking for a head coaching spot, and she's phenomenal.
So,
it's just been great.
Yeah. And not to take away from how great the women's basketball team is, but I think we have to move to the other side of the coin a little bit here, which is how disappointing the men's basketball team has been, because it's been rough.
It's been tough.
And it's what makes it especially bad is the expectations that were had coming into this year, because we all saw Vandy basketball at the end of last year. We saw that they could be successful without Liam. We saw that, with the team they had and the core they had the ability to be successful. And I thought after the offseason, we retained the core that was necessary. We upgraded in positions. We lost some people to the transfer portal, but that's just kind of the state of athletics nowadays. but I think that on paper, this is a markedly better team than we saw at the end of last year. Like, the only person I think that was genuinely terrible that we lost was Liam. But Liam didn't play for a lot of the run.
We're losing, half of a season of Liam?
Yeah.
He doesn't play?
I'm just comparing it to the team that we all thought deserved to be in the NCAA tournament last year.
Yeah.
Which was without Liam. We went through, we beat Kentucky twice, we went to the SEC tournament, we did very well in the SEC tournament, and we didn't make the tournament that we thought we deserved to. And this team is, in my opinion, markedly better than that team on paper. And I don't understand why it's been such a colossal failure.
Yeah, I think one of the things is the loss of Tyron early. You can't make excuses for injuries. I would know that as a Pels fan. At this point, we just I have the mindset as rooting for the Pels and the Mets. It's like you kind of just have to deal with the guys that are out there.
Absolutely.
But losing Tyron in your first game of the season is really tough.
Yeah,
definitely.
And that Presbyterian loss might go down as the worst loss I've ever experienced here at Vanderbilt.
Really?
And that's saying something.
That is saying
because
something, man.
we've dealt with some pretty bad losses
We've had
across
some
the
tough
sports.
stuff, man.
Yeah.
But with the expectations going into that Presbyterian game, losing the way that we did without, knowing we didn't have our best guy and still feeling confident enough, that's
Which
a huge
we should.
blow.
We should feel confident in that game, though.
And then the other thing, and I think this is just like a basketball-wide thing, which it's not even our roster, but just like basketball-wide, we are not a team with an identity. We have never been a team with an identity in the way of you don't know what you're getting when you go out on any given night.
Yeah.
Whereas with the women, you know that you're going to get a high-octane defensive game and you're going to have one or two girls who go crazy.
Yeah.
At least well enough
Yeah.
to keep you afloat. With the guys, you can get a crazy shootout like we had against Kentucky
Yeah.
in the SEC tournament where we go into the late 80s, early 90s, and then come out in another game and it's a snooze fest where you end 50s, 60s, and we're playing super high defense,
Yeah, just
very
grit.
very much crashing the board. That lack of identity, or at least that identity changing from game to game, it makes it hard for the players, I think, to buy in, or at least to understand where their role fits in, because their minutes aren't changing.
Yeah.
Right.
And especially for a bunch of guys who are new,
Stability is a big thing. It's not like other sports and repetition maybe, but it's you got to know what you're doing consistently to do it well. And I don't think that Jerry Stackhouse has ever had a team where I've seen a clear, okay, this is us. This is what Vanderbilt does.
I disagree with
The
that.
only thing I've seen consistently is at the end of the last 2 years is okay, the only thing I've seen us do is win. We just get wins, doesn't matter how it happens. That's the only identity I've seen.
I think
It's
before Liam got hurt last year, we had a very clear identity in the games that he played in the SEC. It was a very dominant level of game that we played, and we kept winning. And then once he was gone, we started doing we're going to scratch and claw and win however we can. But I thought even by the end of that, it turned very clearly into a Ezra drive and kick, Tyron drive and kick kind of offense, and it worked, and worked consistently, and produced wins.
Here's the thing. We have a nice team if that's what we're doing. We've got guys who can shoot if you pass out and the defense collapse. We've got not a bunch of big talent down low, but we've got enough.
You have guys
Then
who
Alan
can do the
Lubin
job.
is better than anybody who was big on our team last year except Liam. And that's not even a disrespect to anybody. But I think Van Allen Lubin's a stud.
Would you say he's better than the role that QMB took 2 years ago? Because last year was a down year for him, but
I would say yeah.
Okay.
I think Van Allen Lubin's been the second best player on our team this year. I think Ezra has very clearly been number one. I think Alan Lubin has been number two so far this year. And what's crazy is that he should be at absolute minimum number three.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is we came in and Jerry Stackhouse said it. Tyron Lawrence is our guy. He is supposed to be the number one guy. And when he came back the first game versus NC State, he came out on fire. He came out putting up 10 in the first 12 minutes. We were up like 5. I was like, this is what what I'm expecting from our team. And then I'm coping, and I'm like, okay, maybe the tournament committee will say that wasn't the same team. This is their best player. Now they're a different team. Mm-hmm. But then it just kind of went back to what it had been the entire rest of the year previous to that game, where we let them go on a crazy run, then started, treading water. But, at some point you have to make the run back to get into the game. And it just doesn't happen, it feels like.
Do you think the team is feeling a bit of pressure from the way that last season ended? I know it's not the same guys, but do you think the pressure, because it does seem like, especially at home, there's a lot of timidness?
I would think for sure, because with the way it's played out in the past, the success comes only in a time of we have nothing else to lose.
Yeah.
No one thinks we're good. We've been losing all this. Everyone's saying, fire our head coach. We're all bad at basketball. We've got nothing to lose. So just go out and win. And they do. Now it's like, okay, we're in a completely different space of the season is starting. We want to establish dominance and assert ourselves. And we've never been able to do that, really in any aspect. In the first few minutes of a game even, we haven't typically been the team where it's like, okay, we're going to start playing the game our way. We're going to do it like this. We're not a team that sets the pace of a game or a season or anything like that. And when you're just reacting all the time, you're not going to win, especially early.
Yeah.
If you're just letting everyone do whatever they want.
I kind of have the belief that that's not really... I don't think that that's a step in the direction of a successful team. Like, I think some people believe that it's very generally, in terms of being a bad team to a good team, it's bad with flashes, situational wins and, like, hope, and then it's, okay, now expectation to win, and then you might not be meeting expectations, and then it's meeting expectations, right?
Yeah.
But, like, I don't think that this is a step that real good teams do, in the sense of having expectations to win and then losing.
Yeah.
I think that that's an indication of a failure in some structural way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I am personally of the belief that I don't think Jerry Stackhouse should make it through the year at the moment.
It's been a very pressing debate in this entire campus, because I think you do say for a coach, you give a coach, especially in college, you give a coach 5 years, because at that point you have seen what their recruiting style is like. And if you're seeing no improvements, flashes with no improvements, then I think it's time to start thinking about it. And that hurts me so much to say, because I was so excited for his hire.
Yeah. I think he's a good coach. You can't keep him. Mm-hmm. You cannot keep him at this point. Mm-hmm. There's no way he's keeping his job. I hate it. I love him.
Mm-hmm. I will say the one thing that I haven't appreciated so far is his offensive sets since he's gotten here have felt so uninspired to me. And this might just be a me thing, because I'm a sets guy, but it feels that he looks at the identity of the team and still implements the sets that he feels would work no matter what, and they just don't. Like last year, especially 2 years ago when we were hitting our severe offensive like mills, where we were not getting anything. He was setting a lot of off-ball screens with switch defenses, which is like the one thing you should not do.
That's
because
the
off-ball screen doesn't work.
Is that it doesn't,
And we ran it for an entire game expecting a result of, at some point we'll get an open bucket. Like, especially he ran an after timeout play once for Trey Thomas that was a double screen off
which
the side.
Which is a problem in the first place.
Corner. No, this was Trey Thomas off of like the 33-point game in Hawaii.
Okay.
This was like Trey Thomas.
This was like when we thought he was real for a second.
This is when we thought Trey Thomas was a shooter and not just a high volume shooter.
Yeah.
And he ran a double screen off for Trey Thomas, and immediately they did a switch and denied the pass. And for the rest of the shot clock, for like 15 seconds, we were like, oh, what do we do now?
Yeah, it seems like every time we've needed a bucket, it happens a lot of times, but it never feels like it happens in a good way. It's always like, okay, go out there and score, you know? I feel like it most of the time our offense has felt unstructured. I've never felt really confident in, okay, we've got this. Like a half-court setup, we're probably going to score. So I was like, we'll probably score somehow. But there's no discernible way, and that goes back to the identity thing of you've got to, as a team, know what you're good at and how you're going to score, and then you have to change that based on how the defense is playing. But first, you have to know what you're doing, you know?
Yeah.
You can't just go out there against talent and be like, you got it, boys. And it's like...
I'm gonna read
That's
you
a coaching
guys
thing.
our schedule before SEC play.
Oh, no.
Okay.
And I want you guys to tell me what you think we're going to win.
Okay.
At Texas Tech
Yeah.
versus Western Carolina.
We should.
We should
We
win that
should.
game.
Like that's
We should
there.
be
There is
Presbyterian,
no.
though.
There is no yeses when it comes to
Yeah.
this season. There's just a whole bunch of we shoulds and then absolute no's.
Yeah.
Like you saw NC State on the schedule. You said, all right, well
We
this
should
this
win.
this one's gonna stink.
Yeah.
Oh,
For NC
dude.
State, it's like this one's gonna stink. But you see someone like Presbyterian, you see someone like this week, like San Francisco, and you go, well, at least we got one. At least we can get something.
Yeah. So at Memphis
No.
Absolutely not.
Penny Hardaway is nice.
versus Dartmouth.
See,
In
that's another
theory,
should. That's
It's
another should.
Dartmouth.
So, but what's crazy is I'm looking at our SEC schedule, and I'm like, this is one of the most open SECs I've ever seen in my life.
100%.
It's Alabama unranked, LSU unranked, Ole Miss unranked, Auburn unranked, Mississippi State unranked, Tennessee ranked 17, Auburn unranked, Missouri unranked, Kentucky ranked 16, South Carolina unranked, Texas A&M 21, Tennessee 17, Georgia unranked, Florida unranked, Arkansas unranked, LSU unranked 16, Kentucky, and versus Florida.
I've never seen that poor of an SEC.
Yeah. It's
That's crazy.
And if this was the Vanderbilt
And,
team
counting
that
those,
we
I've
thought
got
it,
like 2, maybe wins in the SEC.
the thing is like Ole Miss after going like 0-19 in the SEC last year, maybe 1-18, they're like 7-0 right now.
What is LSU? Because LSU was also very low last year, which was an uncharacteristic year for them.
Yeah.
And one that
They're
we should-
5-3.
That's but and
They've lost to Syracuse, Dayton, and Nicholls State.
Nichols?
Yeah.
Like the 5-cent piece?
Yes.
and again, that's a game we have to circle on our calendar because Jordan Wright's there.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's at Nichols State?
No, he's
No,
at LSU.
I was going to say, there's no chance he
He's
plays
at,
for
Like
Nichols.
Nichols.
like again, and here's the thing: is you
What is wrong with you?
you can't
so much. I forgot about that, man.
you
You
can't
can't lose to Jordan Wright, man.
you can't trust this team when it comes to games, especially the non-meaningful ones. After LSU's loss last year, like we should be circling that game of we just lost to a 1-15 LSU.
If we win that game, I think we make the tournament.
Probably.
Because it dropped our net by like 20.
Probably. That's a game that I wrote a preview for and looked at LSU's offense and said they can't get anything, really. Their offense, especially because their offense is so focused on scoring in the key, and we had the SEC Defensive Player of the Year at
Dude,
that point.
they had that kid that went crazy though.
Exactly.
Well, who was he? Do you remember his name?
No, and that's exactly who I don't remember his
That's
name.
the issue.
He was a transfer. He was a transfer with the coach. They came together from the
my
same school.
God, he couldn't miss that game.
And he was their entire offense. And I said, that's fine. We have the SEC, not at that point, but we had the SEC Defensive
The
Player of the
future
Year.
SEC DPOY.
Like, this is a game that we should handle with care.
Is he still on the team?
And I believe he was a senior. So if anything, he'd be back for his grad year.
It was 33 or 34, I want to say.
Yeah.
I remember one of them fouled out, and then they tried to put it back in when the other fouled out. And they were like, wait,
And
no.
So a loss like that, though, while Chris is finding that, a loss like that is one that you have to look at this season and say, we need to sweep you. We need to win both.
Yeah.
And especially now that you have a player who left. Granted, all the best for Jordan Wright. This is his hometown. Like, there isn't a school that he should have gone to more if he didn't stay here.
Yeah. I'm praying on his downfall actively.
But we should be looking to capitalize fully on that game.
You can't lose.
You can't lose a game like that.
Lose.
It was KJ Williams.
KJ Williams.
Williams?
And where did he come from?
He's in the NBA now.
Where did he come from? What was his first school? Because he came with the coach. I don't remember where they came from though. So.
Hold on. Murray State.
There we go.
Murray State.
Yeah, we're
Good for him. Wow.
But oh my gosh, that man couldn't miss.
Yeah, it was an incredible game.
The thing is like that game was so demoralizing because it didn't feel like we were playing bad.
No.
Like I didn't like it was genuinely just one of those games where there's a guy that you just can't stop.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what's terrible. Is like we're playing well, we just can't win.
We were on like an 8-game win streak. Like it was.
No, it was in the stars to lose that game in terms of storylines. Like, if I was a journalist for LSU, and it's one of the best written pieces I could have because ultimately writing is about creating narratives and having a narrative that you just knocked off the hottest team. One of the hottest teams in the SEC currently making a tournament run is a major key win
big,
for you,
man.
especially in a bad season.
In a bad season with a new coach.
Mm-hmm. And so that's where, again, we need to prove something in a game like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was bad, and this season has only been bad.
Yeah, it's a thing.
It seems like we're in the same state that we were when we lost to LSU at that point.
Yeah, it feels like even though we did get out of it then, we haven't really gotten out of it now. Also, quick update on the women's game. At the under 4 timeout, I think it's under 4 in women's. I'm not sure.
I think they do it at every time, roughly every 5 dead ball.
Okay, maybe it was under 5 then. We were only up 39-37 in the fourth, and with 2 minutes and 37 seconds left in the fourth, we're up 45-37.
That's fantastic.
So that's pretty much chalked as a dub.
Who's the leading scorer, and then what is JC's stat line? Because Jordan Cambridge.
So I want you to guess
one of the nastiest stat lines.
I want you to guess
ever.
who the leading scorer is.
Is it Ayanna or is it someone? It's Ayanna or Sasha, or we're going deep into the bag.
It is not Ayanna or Sasha. Also, we're not going deep into the bag.
We're not.
No.
Is it Jordan Oliver?
No.
It's Cambridge.
It's Cambridge.
Sure.
And so, how about guess her stat line?
I always expect out of her, if it's a game like this, I'm expecting a
45-37. Just to be clear, just for
like a 15-9.
Yeah.
A few boards, maybe 4 or 5 boards, and give me 3 steals.
So right now, with 2 minutes 37 seconds left, she's put up 11 points. She has 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals.
Yeah,
wow.
Right.
Wow. So they've really been giving her the ball and going.
Yeah.
They basically said create for yourself.
She's
That's
good,
awesome.
dude.
Yeah.
She's good.
Sasha and Ayanna both have 7 points. Ayanna is 3 for 15, not her best shooting day. But who is K. Pierre?
Oh, yeah, no, she's been coming off the bench very often.
Camille? Camille Pierre.
She's been playing in the 7
She's
or 8
3
spot.
for 6, 5 offensive rebounds, 2 defensive rebounds.
5 offensive rebounds?
Yeah, she's been going nuts, low key.
like to see.
So good for her. Yeah.
That's a team identity thing. I mean, Coach Ralph.
You're gonna go in there. You're gonna get your boards, and
Yeah,
And
she
you get
makes
second
sure
chances.
all 5 girls have to get in that paint to work for rebounds. They're
well,
not.
we don't have like a true center. Like
No,
Sasha's-
we list everyone as a guard or a forward.
Yeah. Like I think Sasha's our truest center, but I like
And she's not even our tallest person in the starting lineup.
yeah.
Where Justine is the tallest player on the
I
starting
didn't know
lineup.
that, but yeah, that
by,
makes sense.
by about an inch. And she has long arms, like 6'4". She's tall.
Yeah.
And that's and
Is she the transfer from UT or is
she's
that
the
Oliver?
transfer from UT.
Oliver's from Duke, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What an incredible scorer she was in high school too, Justine. I'm really hoping that she figures it out at some point because you see the flashes.
If we have another top level scorer, like not like
If anybody steps up,
The thing with Justine is you see the flashes in her.
Yeah.
She is so like the best comp I can give her is like a Brandon Ingram. She's not
Really?
fully a Kevin Durant yet, but
Yeah.
she's long, she's lanky, she has a great handle on the ball, and she can shoot over basically anyone, and she loves living in the mid-range. The elbow, the short corner.
DeMar DeRozan.
She loves living, like creating for herself in that area.
Yeah.
And the problem is, it's like they're contested shots. They really are. But it's one of those contested shots where she's so much taller that you're like,
It's not really.
Exactly. I look at them and I go, that's a good look. And every time it's a good look and it's just not falling. At some point,
It's gonna
she
fall.
can get hot.
Yeah.
and I'm expecting like this huge breakout from her, which she just hasn't had yet at UT or here. But you've seen it in high school. I think she leads the state. I think she led the state of New Jersey in points while she was there. She's from Toms River.
I haven't put any research into that. That's crazy.
Yeah. No, when she transferred over, I looked a little bit into it because she was from Toms River, which is like close by to me. I'm from Staten Island, New York. I feel like I make that known all the time.
You do.
I very much I love being from Staten Island. I don't always love Staten Island, but I love being from Staten Island. But because she was so close, I was trying to figure out what high school she went to, and I saw all these high school accolades, and I was like, this is such a big pickup for us.
Yeah.
And especially at 6'4".
And Shea Ralph's gonna unlock her.
That's what I'm saying. It's like if you've been kind of not getting it at UT,
which makes sense.
Makes sense, you know. Go to a coach who can coach. It works out.
And they give her the green light.
Yeah.
And
that's what
you can't complain about it.
They believe in her.
You give her the green light, and she hasn't been shooting a great percentage, and it's just one of those things where after a while, they will fall.
You pick it up, yeah.
They will fall. Because I really haven't seen maybe 1 or 2 shots a game. I'm like, okay, that's a bad shot. That's early in the shot clock. We could have found something better. But they're all comparably, with the people that they have guarding her, good looks. Yeah. You can see the rim. You're not really getting a shot off with much uncomfortability. It's just not falling.
Yeah, she's not having a great game right now, but that's okay.
It happens.
Yeah. She's 0-0-0.
Yeah. No field goals at all.
Well, she's 0 for 6, yeah.
Yeah. But she shoots.
Yeah,
she shoots at a high rate.
Respect.
Almost always will be like the 3rd highest in terms of shots attempted.
Yeah.
I usually see it's like Sasha, Ayana, Justine.
It's Ayana, Cambridge, M. Green. I don't know who that is.
Actually, I don't know who that is.
Madison Green, freshman.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
She has 12 shots. She has 10 shots. And then it's a tie for 6 with Pierre Passat. But yeah.
Got it.
Anyway. But
we went into a long tangent.
Yeah, I mean that's really the sports that are going on right now. It's just, you know, there's a certain amount of like, I don't want this episode to end. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a melancholy feeling at the end of a season.
Especially, and the weird thing is like we're in this winter period where there isn't really much going on. I would love, like women's bowling is going on. Like that season just started. Fun. That would be a fun thing to talk about because they win.
They do win.
But I know nothing about bowling.
I don't either.
Nor about women's bowling.
I know we hired.
Nor about our team.
I thought you were gonna say nor about women.
There was the MVP of our team last year was a girl named Mabel. I want to say her last name was Cummings. Mabel Cummings, and she got hired on as an assistant coach for this year's team. So. Very excited to see how they perform and how she coaches. Because I've heard she was pivotal not only in being the best bowler that we had, but also in helping some of the younger talent develop. So,
it's the old, you want to aim for those pins. Those
pins
are
yeah.
It's kind of like the UNC field hockey situation.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah,
which is
where they hired the girl, she won again.
By the way, such a great moment.
Just crazy. That's just phenomenal.
That's one of those college sports moments where you just look at it and you go, "This is why I love college sports. This is why we watch it."
College sports is one of the best things.
It really is, and you know what's funny? It's so different from the pro counterparts a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And that difference in style a lot is why it has such a big fan base because there are people who latch onto it.
Yeah.
I mean, college football is just like let's run the score up as much as humanly possible.
Yeah.
And it's the one team that can get a stop midway through the 4th, you know? Whereas, like, yes.
Okay. I want to talk about the college football playoff with you real quick. And do you think Florida State should have gotten in?
Yeah. Let's talk about this. This is great.
Yeah, we can get this in.
Yeah. I believe that the college football playoff, the definition for it should not be the 4 best teams. I really don't. I do truly believe... That's not
what a postseason's about, in my opinion.
I do believe it should be the 4 best seasons.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I think Florida State should have been in. However, it depends on how you define it. It's really one of those decisions of it depends how you define the top 4. Is it the 4 best teams? Because if it is, then it may not have ever been the college football playoffs we've seen years before.
Yeah.
I believe it should go to the 4 best seasons, and you deal with the repercussions later. I do believe what's going to happen here is if Florida State does decide to sit out against Georgia, or doesn't decide to sit out against Georgia, they're probably going to lose by
a million.
A good margin,
lot,
enough for the College Football Playoff Committee to laugh and say, we made the right choice.
Yeah.
They're getting mauled by any of the top 4. I don't think any Florida State fan is arguing that they would win.
Yeah.
It's just they deserve it.
I think there's a glory in celebrating the fact that you're making it to a playoff. And I think it's, especially in college where the sports are just as much for the players as they are for the students. And giving the students the opportunity to go and experience that is what the sport is all about. Alabama students have basically expected to be celebrating every year making the playoff. I think if we're not putting Florida State in, then why did we put Cincinnati in a few years ago? You know? Like Cincinnati was also going in there as they have been knocking on the door of the playoff for 3 years. Let's finally give them their time to shine. And sure, they got blown out, but at least the Cincinnati students appreciated it, and it's an experience that you can never take away from them. I feel like the College Football Playoff Committee in this instance took it away from not only the Florida State players, but the Florida State community as a whole.
Yeah. I mean, when you're saying we're taking the 4 best teams, then what are you really playing for? If you're like Florida State. Florida State was a pretty solid team.
I mean, they were a great team.
Yeah, they're a good team. They're not a playoff team, but they're like, okay, we may not be...
They were with their quarterback.
We may not be this, but we're going to win all these games and show that we are and make it.
The only issue and the only reason Florida State didn't make the playoff is because their starting quarterback broke his leg.
That doesn't change the fact that they didn't lose.
Yeah, and the other thing...
You can't exclude them from the playoffs.
The other thing is how valuable is a quarterback who wasn't even nominated in the top 4 for the Heisman? I
think Jordan Travis was pretty valuable.
No, he is. He's incredibly valuable. But if the College Football Playoff Committee is recognizing his value as large enough to drop them a seed
from 4 to 5,
but then the Heisman Committee is saying he's not valuable enough to be considered one of the best players in the.
Do you think he's better than any of the top 4?
I don't, but I also don't believe that he is valuable enough to drop
from
them
4 to 5.
Yeah,
really.
I think he's a wonderful player, and I'm not saying he's not probably one of the best players to ever go through Florida State. But if we're not saying that he's not a top 4 player, then we should also not say that he's big enough to the program to drop them.
I don't agree with that.
Out of the college football playoff.
I think
of all the teams in the playoffs, if each of them individually lost their quarterback, would all of them, would you say, be out, or would there be one of them that's like, okay, they could stay?
I would say
if Alabama had an injury
to Jalen
Milroe at the end of the game, still beating Georgia.
I think the SEC champion gets in no matter what.
Which I also think is a problem, and that's coming from an SEC school.
I don't see it as a problem. I see it as it could be, because that could lead to maybe in 3 years, there's not someone who is worth being in the playoffs, but since they won the SEC and beat all these certain teams, you got to put them in. It's not a problem right now. It could be in the future.
You know what? I'll say that if Alabama beat Georgia but Jalen Milroe got hurt, I don't think they should have been in either, because they're a markedly different team. I am kind of a proponent of I want the 4 best teams in the playoff because I want the most entertaining playoff.
Yes.
And I think that no matter who Florida State went against, even if they put in Georgia, even if they put in Ohio State, they were going to get killed by 35 plus.
And that's the difference
but you have to honor a team who went 13-0.
But I know that there's the whole community.
Yeah, but we're approaching this from different perspectives. Where you're approaching it as a fan, and I'm approaching it as a student.
Right, and the thing is it's not going to matter next year.
And I was just about to bring up that point.
Yeah, because next year we're going to a 12-team playoff. I also think that it's important to note that this was a crazy good year for college football.
An incredible year for college football.
Like, in the sense of, I mean, I think Missouri could have made some noise if it was a 12-team playoff and they were like number 9.
Missouri's really good
like,
for some reason.
There were,
I don't know why.
There were, I think, teams, like, I think Oregon could have made crazy noise. you can never really count out Ohio State or Georgia. Like I to be honest with you,
even your mid majors. I mean, I will tell you the best game that I've watched this year was JMU versus App State. Not only because it was game day, but because the game went down to inches.
Yeah,
literal inches, and the definition of a fumble.
Yeah. I think that, to be honest with you, I still don't think they put in the best 4 teams. I think the best 4 teams in the nation right now are Michigan, Washington, Alabama, and Georgia.
Yeah, I was going to say having a college football playoff without Georgia looks weird.
Yeah, it's so odd.
Especially because throughout the entire season, we believe that they were automatic bids no matter what.
Yeah. The thing is I think what the college football playoff committee does is they have it both ways. They say, "Oh, you're deserving, but this person's the best," and I think that's the problem. They're not going to commit either way, because if they committed either way, Georgia would be in the playoff, and if they committed the other way, Alabama wouldn't be in the playoff.
Yeah.
And I think
that's not fair to anybody.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I think Alabama is both deserving and one of the best teams because they won the SEC. Have one loss. I think that Texas, if it was the other way around, I think if it was most deserving and not best, it would go Michigan, Washington, Florida State, Alabama. And there's some controversy there about Texas beating Alabama, but I don't think that they had a better season than Alabama overall. I don't know. It's a hard thing to manage.
Yeah. And looking forward on to the 12-team SEC. 12-team college football playoff. How crazy, and this is going to be the most casual fan idea ever, but taking a page out of the March Madness book where the Power 5 champions automatically get a bid into the 12-team playoff.
I think that...
If you're expanding to 12
isn't that what they're
teams,
thinking?
Shouldn't you honor at least your Power 5 champions, no matter
Power
who
4?
they may be?
No more Pac-12.
Oh,
You're right.
I want Washington to win just for that.
I'm rooting Washington heavy in this
I love Washington.
playoff. But
so then a third of your spots go to no matter what you win the like that means the championship means something.
How is dude without a Pac-12?
Whereas Florida State is now the ACC champion and didn't get a bid. Like no matter what, if you're considered a champion of your conference, you deserve to represent that conference
in the playoff
for the national championship.
I think that's fair. I'm totally cool with that. I think that's great.
Are we gonna have to start calling it the Power 4?
I think so.
Oh, that's so weird. You know what's weird for me? You know what's especially weird for me? When you move to basketball and they bring in the Big East and call it the Power 6, because the Big East doesn't have a football program.
But the Big East is what, like Nova?
Big East has Nova and
St.
UConn.
John's.
Yeah, but St. John's.
UConn is in the Big East?
Yes, UConn. They're independent for football because they're the only ones that have a football program. You could say St. John's. As a St. John's fan, I don't even think that we deserve to be talked about in the top.
No. They're not good by any means. They're in the conference.
But they're in the conference.
Yeah. You got Syracuse.
Marquette. No, Syracuse is in the ACC.
They're in the ACC.
They used to be in the Big East.
Yep.
I was about to go nuts. I was like,
2008.
What? No. I respect Notre Dame basketball far more than Notre Dame football. Because Notre Dame football doesn't play in a conference. I think it's ridiculous that they don't. Because they still have all the prestige that comes with being Notre Dame football, but the basketball plays in the ACC.
Yes.
But here's the thing. Sam Hartman is gorgeous.
He is. That man is stunning, some would say.
Here's the problem for them.
With
is
Sam
that
being
there's
gorgeous?
His favorite pasta is chicken Alfredo, by the way.
Oh my goodness. Sam came onto the scene this season with just the most beautiful out of context, or very much in context clip of all time. And just has continued to ride the wave of success along with absurdity to make him probably one of the funniest. And one of the people you kind of want to root for the most.
Thing is, he's not that great of a quarterback.
He's fine. I would say he's good. He's good, I would say.
But you know what? As long as you're like...
I'd take a lot of guys over Sam Hartman.
But you can't help but root for him.
I know.
I feel the same way, and I'm not comparing these two.
Would you take Joe Milton over Sam Hartman?
That's all you.
I think that's a very distinct question between polish and talent.
Well, here's the thing. Is it one season I have to win now, or is it I get 2 years with this guy?
That's such a good counter question.
Because I want Joe Milton for 2 years. But if it's just Joe Milton right now and I need to win, he's not a winner right now. He's got insane physical talent.
Oh, he's going to be drafted, I think, in the top 15. Not because he's
physical talent.
He's going to be a slightly worse Anthony Richardson after he blows up the combine.
What with what Anthony Richardson did last year, that opens the door huge for.
I mean, he's going to get to the combine and he's going to say, run 90 yards downfield, and he's going to throw a bomb to him 90 yards downfield. He's going to run a 4.44, and then it's going to be, okay, you're a top.
You're going to be a phenomenal football player at that point. But at this point, he does not win college football games. I wouldn't want him on my team if it's 1 year I need to win. I'd take Sam Hartman.
You know, he in the games that he has started, he is, I think, 11-4 in the games that he has started.
Good for him.
Now, I actually think that the majority of games that he lost this year, he wasn't the primary issue.
Good for him.
I know I'm coming from a Tennessee football homer, but I think that there are some things that he gets a little bit of flack for that he shouldn't. One of which being losing the top 2 of his 3 receivers after he already lost our top playmakers from Tennessee's top playmakers from last year to the NFL draft. Different conversation.
What are you saying? Who left or who got hurt?
So last year's Tennessee offense, we lost Jalen Hyatt and Cedric Tillman,
they lost.
I'm sorry. I use the royal we to consider Vandy and Tennessee. I understand that doesn't speak for everybody here. Tennessee lost Cedric Tillman and Jalen Hyatt, who are 2 second-round wide receivers. That's still a big drop-off to the next guys.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
This offense, this year, they lost Brew McCoy, wide receiver number 1.
When did he?
South Carolina game. Broke his leg.
What week was that?
4 or 5.
Oh, I like Brew McCoy. He's cool.
And then Dante Thornton, wide receiver number 2.
So now Squirrel White, wide receiver 1?
Squirrel White was wide receiver 1.
That is a little tricky for you.
Yeah, we had guys named Chaz Nimrod playing.
Nimrod?
Chaz Nimrod. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But I think that it was not really on him, especially when we also have 2 guys leaving to the NFL draft from the offensive line that they had to rebuild. So, I don't know. That's just... I'm going to get off Tennessee because this is a Vandy Sports podcast. But I think Joe Milton is actually a lot better than he performed this year. And that's just my take on things. I know it's getting a little late, and I know you've been here, and I've been here for a long time here.
I think, can we bring up one more point? And I think that's just because it's happening tonight.
Yes.
I would love to hear your opinions on the inaugural NBA in-season tournament. If we're going to talk about college football playoff, I think we need at least, because you are the sports podcast for the casual fan.
Yeah.
And the in-season tournament is the perfect...
51-39, Vanderbilt beats Butler. Sorry, go.
51-39?
Yep.
That's just a beautiful game. That's basketball, man.
That's Shea Ralph basketball.
We play, man.
That's Shea Ralph basketball.
That's why we play. 39 points, dude. That's what I like to see.
But anyway, as a casuals, as the podcast for the casuals, I think the in-season tournament is supposed to appeal to the fans, and I'd love to get your opinion on it.
I don't watch a lot of NBA. I watched a few of these in-season tournament games because I honestly, my biggest qualm with both the NBA and the MLB is that there are far too many games to make any single game interesting.
Yeah.
Because who cares if you win your 39th game or not? The in-season tournament has been fun. I've consumed far more content in the in-season tournament than any other NBA regular season game ever. And to be honest with you, like, I'm at a point in the NBA where I don't really have a team. Like, there's nobody I follow that I'm like super hype about. Yep. My friend back home is trying to get me to be a Knicks fan. And shout out Caden. Caden Bland, what a guy. But I've just enjoyed watching these guys compete. And I think I saw a clip on my Instagram of maybe it was the Pacers bench going nuts.
Absolutely wild yesterday.
Yeah. Because
absolutely
aren't they like,
wild.
They're all so young that, like, you know, when you have a team full of stars, $500,000 is obviously a lot. That's how much you get, right? $500,000. Yeah. But, like, it's different than when you're a rookie coming in on a rookie contract, or like you're on like a 2A and you get $500,000. Like, that's
a lot of money, man.
That's a lot of money.
I'll tell you exactly how Jose Alvarado talked about it. He's on his second contract. For the Pels. Congratulations to him. He's a New York guy. He actually went to a rival high school of my friends, Christ the King. But Jose is on a second contract, and so when they asked what he's going to do with the money if he wins, he specifically said, "I'm donating it to my daughters. Like all 500,000 is going to my daughters."
That.
And think about this, like for guys like that who may be just coming off of their first contract, that's their kid's college fund.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
he now does not.
That's a trust.
If he's hurt now, that's it. At least his daughter's college is paid for in the years.
He puts that in, even if it's in like a 3% return, just normal bank account or whatever. Mm-hmm. I mean, by the time his daughters reach college age, like that's a lot of money.
The average NBA player plays what, like?
I'm gonna say
seasons.
I'm gonna say 6 to 8 seasons.
Yeah, I think it's 7 or 8.
The average NBA player.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like there's no way that statistic can be right.
It's probably the second contract at the end of your second contract.
The average NBA player.
Yes.
Huh.
So you're taking guys like LeBron, Melo, Dirk, guys who played 20 years, and then you're taking guys who played 1.
You're taking
2.
you're taking your Russ Smiths.
I feel like there
and
has
Philip Petrusov.
average NBA career. I feel like there's no way it can be that.
What would you guess it is?
4.5 years is what it is.
That's even lower than we expected.
I was expecting lower than that even.
Okay.
But sorry.
Still, like, Jose Alvarado, he's solid. I like the guy. I really do like him.
Is he that great?
Is he going to stay in the league for another 2 contracts? Maybe. Maybe not. It's not a given. If you get $500,000 right now, that makes you feel a lot better about the chances of the NBA.
Yeah.
You know? If you're a guy like
What are you gonna try to find the most obscure name you could think of?
No, I'm just trying to think of someone.
Immaculate Grid
Even
legend.
like
legend.
Andrew Nembhard in Indiana. In Indiana, like he was drafted, I think late second round, early mid.
Jordan Bowen.
I don't quite remember. And he's like having a good little run on the Pacers. If his career ends after his first or second contract, but he gets his $500,000, that's nice.
That's almost doubling his contract. The minimum you can make. The minimum you can make is $800K.
What was that? Luka Garza?
Luka Garza? $500,000 would change Luka Garza's life.
Yeah.
Let's say
College basketball legend.
And plays for the Milwaukee Bucks, and he gets $500,000, changes your life.
Yeah. And so, like, one of the things that I want to say is, like, even with the young guys, like that clip, I saw it this morning.
Yeah.
By far, probably the most fun I felt all year watching. I didn't even watch the game, and I felt electrified. But the thing that's so important about it is that even now the stars are buying in. Like there was an interview with Kevin Durant after his loss to the Lakers, and he goes, "At some point in this game, I felt like this was meaningful basketball. Like at some point in this game, I felt that this was a must-win for us." And by the end of it, he goes, "By the end of this game, I realized this tournament works because I subconsciously fully bought in, even though during the pool play round, I wasn't really there."
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about, that a guy like Kevin Durant realized, like mid-game,
like, hey, this means something.
This means something bigger than I thought that it did.
Yeah.
And the funny thing that I love about it, most of all, is the fan base reaction to it, where you know that the fans are getting into it and they're trying to keep themselves from getting into it. When the Celtics lost to the Pacers, for example, was by far the best time I've ever had on Twitter, because Celtics fans, and being from New York, like, we're supposed to hate Boston. Mm-hmm. I don't like Boston, but I do like the Celtics. The Celtics fans immediately started running to, well, we're playing for the stuff that matters. And at that point, I knew they got you.
Yeah.
They got you.
It's over.
The second that a fan base starts coping, you know it's done.
Like almost immediately started going, well, at least we have finals hopes. And I go, this is exactly why we have this tournament in place. Like a random Pacers Celtics game.
Pacers fan 609 on Twitter is getting mad at
there's no reason that in early December Celtics fans should be this enraged over a regular season loss.
Yeah.
And that's why it's doing so well.
One of the differences between college and the pros is that in a lot of collegiate things, there's a championship before the championship. Mm-hmm. In the NBA, it's the NBA Finals. If you don't win the NBA Finals, you didn't win anything. You can win a tournament. You can win the ACC, WCC, anything. Mm-hmm. You may not win the March Madness, but you played in your tournament and you won, and that's something that those kids will remember forever.
Yeah.
Like, I know
we
every
had,
single
uh,
time
we had-
Gonzaga lost the WCC tournament, it's the greatest day of the other team's kids'
Yeah.
lives.
We had Troy Leneve on the podcast earlier this season, and
What
he
a
was
great breakout season tournament
he's
had.
gonna go crazy this year.
I love him.
Like I don't know if
Troy.
you've even following any of the scrimmage stats.
I haven't.
He has been going nuts
He's good.
against our
He's
pitchers,
good,
and
man.
we have
I really do hope the best for him because he is a great. I took my freshman year. I took football physics with him. For those who aren't in Vanderbilt, football physics was physics for football players. It was just like the most watered down physics you could have. With
we have rocks for jocks as well.
yeah, with Professor Hamilton, he who just retired. We were his last cohort. He discovered element 114 Tennessine.
Yeah.
Like very successful
What?
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
He named it after the state. Like
That's hard.
but I took
Tough.
it. I took the
I
class,
wouldn't,
and
but yeah.
Leneve sat in the class and was one of the few athletes who was like super locked in the whole time.
He's a great guy.
He's a good
just
dude.
like
But-
generally a good
but
guy.
He's also gorgeous.
He's a good looking dude. Not the point.
His mustache, killer.
So
I agree.
we had him. We had him on, and he was talking about like a lot of people were very disappointed with how our baseball season ended last year.
Yeah.
Which is fair because it ended in regionals and we had much higher hopes.
Rightfully so.
But I was like, at the end of the day, we're one of two teams from the SEC to hoist a trophy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there's only a couple teams. There's only a handful of teams in the entire nation that hoist trophies.
You're
Yeah.
a champion.
Like you
I will
are
tell
a
you,
champion.
I had family over that day, and I locked myself in my room to watch the
Yeah.
SEC tournament championship because I'll be honest with you, I didn't think we were going to get there.
Yeah.
With
No.
the way that our regular season
We
went,
lost 4 straight times to Florida.
I really
like-
the loss to Indiana State,
These things.
like those are
Losing all
not
of our
good
pitchers,
signs.
losing Carter,
Yeah.
losing Hunter Owen. Like we lost the strength of our team and our pitching. Really, it felt like.
Yeah.
That did you see that? Or did you watch that Arkansas game live? Game 2.
Yes.
When I tell you, I've never been more hype over a college sport ever.
Over Stanford? Over the Stanford win?
Yeah, I'm gonna say over the Stanford win.
Wow.
I'm gonna say over
I
the.
had no faith in the Stanford win.
No.
I couldn't get hyped.
The thing is,
I
the
bitter
Stanford
end.
win was 1 run though.
Yeah.
The issue is like the Stanford win was like 5 minutes. It was different.
Yes.
The game, the Arkansas comeback.
Yeah, you were like
It was like 15 straight minutes
Yeah.
of us going bloop single, like
No, I
double.
get it. I see where you're coming
yeah,
from.
like
Now. I will just say,
and
like, I've never felt a high like I felt after that Stanford game.
it's
Just
not,
thinking
That's
that it
fair.
was over
Yeah.
the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carson Beck or whatever his name. No, that's the guy for Georgia, but his last name was Beck. He comes in, he strikes out like 6 straight, and I'm like, it's over. And then Javier Velez has one of the best at bats known to man.
An incredible at bat, and then Enrique with the single to send him in, and then I mean
Yeah.
the break. Literally, who
Spencer
the hell
Jones.
was the Spencer Jones guy?
Yeah.
Who the hell was he?
They put him out there, and I legitimately thought
I threw
it's
in the
over,
towel.
man. Yeah, it's over, man.
All
I don't-
respect to
it's
Spencer
over.
Jones.
Yeah.
He's
Especially
a
now.
pro.
Especially
and he was
now.
our first ever guest. Great dude.
First ever.
I will forever be like Spencer Jones. Like, kudos to you guys for getting Spencer Jones on the podcast.
You're gonna have to text him when we have to get the clip for our. For,
He changed his number, I guarantee.
well, you're gonna have to try.
But Spencer, well, his Instagram's the same. But
True.
so when Spencer Jones came up, I threw in
It's
the
over,
towel.
man.
And now look
This
at
dude
how
used to
far.
pitch.
I mean, look at how far he's come.
Oh,
Yeah.
Really. I mean,
that's big.
coming
I
from
remember
New
when
York,
we put him in right field, and I'm like,
coming from New York, they are calling him Lefty Judge.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like the New York Yankee sports fans are calling him Lefty Judge. My cousin is a Yankees fan, and every time I see him, he tells me about Spencer Jones and how excited he is that this guy's going to come up. And it's crazy that he was like,
I have only been. Those are the 2 most hype I have ever been
Mm-hmm.
in college sports. The most hype I've ever been in any sport, though, was when the Tennessee Titans beat the New England Patriots in the wild card round. Yeah, I don't know if you guys.
my memory is not there for that one.
It was 2019, and it was when Derrick Henry was going nuts.
Oh,
And
I do remember this game.
he ran for like 250.
Yep.
And it's 14-13 with like 2 minutes left. Tom Brady gets the ball, and I'm like, well, that's kind of game.
It's yeah.
Like
It's like that Green Bay meme where it's like they left too
Yeah.
much time on the clock.
Yeah. And then he throws his first pass, and former Patriot Logan Ryan gets a pick six.
Yep.
And I ran around my house. And then we beat Baltimore the next week, which was pretty hype.
Crazy.
I love how far we've strayed from Troy Lanieve and the NBA in-season tournament.
But,
we didn't finish those stories.
Well, that's what the podcast is about, man.
Yeah,
That's
the beauty of this
That's
podcast.
why we're here.
Yeah.
This is, it's that meme. Men don't, like, not all men need podcasts because stuff like this happens.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It's the thing is though about the NBA season, in-season tournament, it provides more meaning.
It
to
really
the
does.
game.
And
Players' careers are built on like moments. A lot of those moments come in the playoffs. A time like this, that adds a lot more moments.
Oh, yeah.
Big stuff can happen. That's a huge marketing push. You see it in soccer, where sure, like you're playing in the Premier League in England, you're also playing in the Champions League. You're playing for this cup. You're playing for that cup.
Exactly.
That works.
Everything you do is more meaningful because you're playing for so many different trophies. In the NBA and this, no one cares about your December games.
I will say, like, the in-season
is
tournament,
big.
if we get anything out of this, Tyrese Halliburton, no matter what happens for the rest of the season, is an all-star.
Tyrese Halliburton is one of the
He's-
best point guards in the league, man.
He's earned an
crazy.
all-star no matter what.
Wasn't he last year?
He's so
I
good.
know, but he's solidified himself as a
Oh,
stud
sure.
in this league.
Imagine if the Kings never traded him.
I think that's probably one of the best win-win trades we've seen in a very long time.
Who did the Kings get?
DeMontis Sabonis.
Oh, yeah.
It's a win-win trade.
But
Here's
like
the thing.
Halliburton and Fox though would have
But
been.
DeMontis
Wouldn't
Sabonis
work.
is also an all-star now.
Well, yeah, sure, but
I think
Halliburton and Fox?
Fox and Sabonis work together better than Halliburton and Fox
Yes.
would.
sure, but like I'm just thinking, I'm doing
'Cause you know
the
what
team
problem-
building
yeah,
of just having the best
problem
players.
The problem is that Tyrese Halliburton, since being
They're both
traded,
so
has
ball dominant.
adapted into a point guard role
Yeah.
and a pass
He's not
first.
an off guard anymore.
Yeah, the Ringer called him Steve Nash with the green light, with a perpetual green light, and it's perfect.
I always wonder that like if you have two guys like that on the same team, why not just make one play with the second unit?
That's so tough for morale.
But like
It's hard to tell a guy.
I know,
The
but
closest
second
thing
unit.
that we've seen like that is Chris Paul.
and
yeah,
come off
but like
the
he's
bench.
kind
and
of
even
washed.
Yeah.
and even he's taking it kind of with a grain of salt. I mean, Russell Westbrook with the Clippers, they're moving him to the second
But
unit.
like,
that
imagine
was
you had a
great
star. Like, I mean, Tyrese Halliburton is obviously a star.
Look at Dallas.
I
yeah.
don't know anything about Dallas, to be honest with you.
Kyrie Irving and
You're gonna tell Kyrie to manage.
I mean,
second
but
unit.
like, imagine he was cool with it.
Yeah.
how many
But then
minutes
it's
are you
also
gonna
a tough late game. Like, what do you do in crunch time? You put them out together?
No, I think you play fresh. You play fresh.
That's the problem. You're going to sit a top player in the league. Like, either one of those two. You're going to sit
Maybe you do play them together.
a long-time
I don't know.
all-star.
That's hard. That's hard. That's hard.
sit him on the bench. So, but anyway, Tyrese Halliburton has solidified himself as an all-star,
Yeah.
as a stud, as a long-time
All-star starter.
big name in this league. Yes. Maybe even has a chance as starter. I don't know. The Eastern guards...
Is he considered a guard or a
Yeah,
forward?
he's a guard. They moved him up. He's moved from a shooting guard to a point guard. He's a true guard now.
How
But-
tall is he?
6'5",
Six-
probably.
Is he only
6'5",
6'5"? I feel like every time I look at him, he's like 6'8".
No,
But
And then the second point I wanted to make is look at the Final Four that's out today. One of those teams has championship hopes. Like, let's be honest.
who is it now?
It is
Pacers,
the
Bucks.
Pacers, Bucks, and then the
Pelicans.
Pelicans and the Lakers. Pelicans, Lakers. I'm sorry, like both of us say that we have championship aspirations.
No.
We are hoping to avoid the play-in.
That's it. Yeah.
Those two
playing
teams are
who could.
are hoping to get the 6th seed.
Yeah.
Indiana is like the same thing. They're gonna like sit at around 4 or 5, and
then
then
you
get
got
bounced,
Milwaukee.
and then get bounced in the second round.
Giannis and I don't know if you saw how the end of that game went, but the Pacers won.
The Pacers did win. Look at this.
Who'd the Pacers beat?
The
Bucks.
Bucks.
They just beat the Bucks, so they're in the championship.
So they're in the championship.
The Indiana Pacers. That's
exactly
why
what
you
I'm saying.
do the tournament.
That's exactly what I'm
'Cause
saying.
You get stuff like
This could not have
the
been-
Indiana Pacers shouldn't win a championship.
This could
the
not
way that it's
have
gone.
worked out. This could not have worked out better for Commissioner Silver.
Yep.
It
Oh
really
my-
couldn't.
this
have.
is phenomenal.
Dude, the Pacers went nuts though.
Yeah.
It was Obi Toppin 14, Bruce Brown 10, Buddy Hield 8, Miles Turner 26, Tyrese Halliburton 27.
Can you believe that Miles Turner's been on the trade block for maybe like 4 years?
Almost every player
Dude,
that
has
played,
never
thought
been
Miles
traded.
Turner was
almost
a bum
every
for
player,
years.
almost every player that played almost got double-digit points.
Yeah.
Oh
The
my
lowest they got was
God.
6 with Aaron Naismith.
Aaron.
So
I love
Vandy legend.
That's my
Yeah.
boy.
Anyway,
yeah.
this is getting a little long.
We are getting long.
But you do have to sign the jersey as well.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
For the last guest of season 5, we have one more addition to the jersey.
This is the coolest thing ever. I am easily look at the names on this jersey.
Yeah.
And then you have me. So I guess I'm among elite company right now.
You certainly are.
I feel really cool.
We have to get Bella to re-sign because she's the only one I didn't trace over.
Ah, I see, because you did it in gold, right?
Yeah, we initially did them all in gold, and then I traced them all over in silver.
We've got Ethan, Barr, Sasha, Washington,
Patrick Smith,
Ben
Parker
Cox,
Nolan.
Patrick Smith.
Sweet, and there's the big one right there.
Spencer Jones. That was the first one as well.
That's crazy, dude.
Ooh.
Yeah, you got a Wesley Schelling.
Yep.
Wes. He's all SEC. You see that?
This year too?
Yeah.
Let's go.
That's so sweet, dude.
Yeah.
Long snapper, baby.
Ben Cox. Bella's here. There's somebody here as well.
Wow, I feel so cool signing this. It really is amongst like some really cool company.
We forgot the jersey when Cam was here. I wish Cam Johnson got to sign it.
I love Cam.
He's a good dude. Well, anyway, thank you so much for coming on this episode,
Thank you guys
Connor.
for having me. It was about time, man.
It was about time, and hopefully we'll see some more of you probably next semester.
Yeah.
So that'll be exciting. We'll have some updates.
Yeah.
For how this is going.
Wow, you're ending season 5 on a cliffhanger. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's a cliffhanger, like quite literally.
You guys are officially a CW show. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. We don't know if we're gonna get renewed for next season.
It's like Community ending season 4, 5, and 6 all with like, well, this might be the end.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens,
mm-hmm.
and obviously we'll keep you guys updated. But even if this is the last time that I'm on the podcast, it's been the most incredible thing that I've done. It's beautiful, and it's done amazing things for me, and it's just been such a special part of my life that I shouldn't have been able to do. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I should not have a podcast for 3 years where I just sit here and talk about sports with my best friend. Like, you people shouldn't watch this. It shouldn't happen, but it does.
We have 90 subscribers.
And cool things happen like this the last 3 years that are awesome and that I didn't ever see coming and are just really cool, you know? And this is something that
When we post a video, it immediately gets put into 90 people's For You page.
Which is too many.
Like, minimum.
That's too many, dude. That's a lot. Like, this is something that I'll never forget, you know?
Yeah.
And it's been phenomenal. And it is a big thanks. This is my PBS moment, and part to viewers like you.
We did this last time.
I know. But, I wouldn't be able to sit up here and be like, oh, it's been so good if you guys didn't watch. Like, if we got, 5 viewers consistently, we would have called it quits.
I don't think so.
For some reason, people have continued to watch year after year, and it's been awesome. And Chris and I have just been coming here and talking about this stuff for a long time, and it's been phenomenal. And Ardalan has been helping us.
Shout out Ardalan.
For 3 years now. Connor, you've been
I've been around for the ride.
Years.
Yeah.
Since day one.
I really have.
Yeah.
It's just been a beautiful thing.
It really does feel like, though, when I come here, I always get the worst luck for you guys. This is the first time that everything's worked since I've been here.
That's the first time everything's worked, period, point blank.
Yeah. It's just phenomenal. It just works out well, you know? Mm-hmm. It's just been awesome, and I've met a lot of great people, all those athletes, bunch of connections, awesome stuff. So even if it ends now, it's been really, really cool.
There will at the very minimum be one more video from Show Em The Dore after this.
Oh, there'll be more. If I leave and you don't continue the podcast, I'll kill you.
I don't know if I'd want to do it without
I'll kill you, dog. You've done this for 3 years. You can't not do it.
You know what I mean?
I mean,
you got one semester left.
It's a conversation that we'll have to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the board of directors will meet.
The board of directors, me and you.
It's us.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah.
With that being said, I suppose this has been. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't do that right. With that being said, all the way from the Curb Center Studios in Nashville, Tennessee, this has been Show Em The Dore at the end of season 5. Thanks guys.